Good morning and welcome. On behalf of the Virginia Divine Nine Fraternities, Phi Alpha Fraternity, Incorporated, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity, Incorporated, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Incorporated, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity, Incorporated, and Iota Phi Theta Fraternity, Incorporated, we are honored to welcome you to this important gubernatorial candidate virtual forum, held in partnership with When We All Vote and as part of National Voter Registration Week of Action. Today's forum is presented for voter educational purposes only. Participation in this event does not denote an official endorsement of any particular candidate by the hosting organizations. We are excited to feature Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger, Democratic candidate for governor of Virginia. And now, it is our distinct pleasure to introduce our moderator for today's conversation. Please welcome Mr. Kim Greenidge, Regional Vice President and General Manager of Gray Media, a trusted voice in journalism and civic engagement. Thank you for joining us, and let's get started.
Welcome to everyone who's out there in virtual land. I am so happy to be here on a very important day, and how timely, because this is the first day of early voting. You know that this will be a consequential election in Virginia and certainly for the governor's office. So just want to give you a little bit feel for the format today. So we will have 15 very precious minutes from Congressman Spanberger. Due to a schedule change, we have 15 minutes. So instead of me asking the questions, we have given Congressman Spanberger the questions in advance, and she will integrate that into her opening, her answering of questions, and also her close. So we have a precious 15 minutes, so please listen closely. And then after Congressman Spanberger finishes, you will hear from Lester Roberts, who will give you some action plans for us to make sure that we make the very most of this very important election. And without further ado, let's hear from Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am coming to you from a moving vehicle, so I apologize for that, but it is an exciting day in Virginia where we have the first day of early voting. We know that thanks, in fact, to the leadership of the General Assembly and Governor Northam, we have 45 days of early voting, an opportunity for us to make our voices heard. And so I just voted, and we had a great crowd. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak with you all today. I want to thank the fraternities and of the Panhellenic Council of Virginia for hosting this event, for giving me an opportunity to speak to you all. And I want to thank all of the Divine Nine fraternities and sororities for participating, and importantly, just thank you for all that you do across Virginia, particularly as it comes to voter registration, voter engagement, as just a fraction, I know, of the work that you all do in our communities to support civic engagement, to encourage our youth, and frankly, to build greater bonds across community. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk a little bit about the stakes of this race and the priorities that I am pursuing. But we also, the stakes of this race come down to who we have in Richmond making decisions on behalf of all of us. That's right now we have the governor's role, which of course I'm running for governor, lieutenant governorship, and the attorney general. There's fantastic candidates running: Ghazala Hashmi for lieutenant governor and Jay Jones for attorney general. And I am proud of the fact that we are very much aligned on the priorities that we are pursuing and the ways that we will work on those issues. Importantly, having an attorney general who will be able to use and leverage the law to stand up for Virginians, for our communities, is of the utmost importance. But when it comes to the priorities that I hold as a candidate, and ultimately the things that I want to work on as governor, chief among them is really strengthening our schools, our public schools, for the next generation. We know that there are funding gaps that exist. We know that we have historically underpaid our teachers. We are below the national average for paying our teachers here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But importantly, we also know that we have a challenge of recruiting and retaining educators in our classroom. The challenge is not unique to Virginia, but in fact, it is one that I believe Virginia can really demonstrate leadership on addressing. Among the priorities that I hold is recognizing that every child across our Commonwealth, no matter where they live, deserves the same incredible public education in order to be set up for success, to know that every opportunity should be theirs, and that whatever path they may wish to go down, into career, off to college, into the military, that all options before them are ones that they know they are ready for, the day that they graduate from school. And in fact, in Virginia, we know that the data are super clear on how it is that we can ensure our teachers are set up for success and able to lead our kids to success. And that's through teacher mentorship programs that support teachers as they are coming through their own education, strengthening their ability to handle any classroom, and importantly, ensuring that the teacher mentors who are helping guiding those teacher mentees through their process, in fact, are from the communities that they wish to serve. There's a fantastic program that began in Richmond called the Richmond Teacher Residency Program. It's expanded far beyond Richmond, now called RTR. And it's a program that puts teachers in Title I schools principally to ensure that they have plenty of time to really learn the ropes, to understand and to feel confident in managing any classroom. And we know that the data make clear that, in fact, not only are the teachers who go through this program more successful and stay in classrooms longer, but in fact, the folks who work as teacher mentors benefit so much from that experience as well. In Virginia, we can't talk about our K through 12 without also talking about the need for more early childhood education. The numbers are clear on this as well. The more that we invest in early childhood education, the better success rates for our kids, throughout their education, but also on their pathway into adulthood. And we currently have a backlog in a wait list on programs that support parents trying to put their kids into early childhood education, into daycare. And I want to work to make sure we are clearing out that wait list and ensuring that all families have access to quality childcare and quality early childhood education. Certainly, as we continue on the educational path in Virginia, we are home to 5 HBCUs. And during my time in Congress, I served on the HBCU caucus. And importantly, during my time on the Agriculture Committee, had a major focus on land grant HBCUs. And of course, Virginia is lucky to have Virginia State here in the Commonwealth doing incredible research and supporting agriculture here at home in Virginia and across the country. But we have long, just as this has been the case at the federal level here in Virginia, we have long underfunded our HBCUs, and yet, despite underfunding over years, decades, they continue to be jewels within our higher education system that ensure so many young people go off into careers that serve our communities across the board. So as governor, I will continue to recognize and value our HBCUs and importantly ensure that the General Assembly is properly funding them. I am grateful for the relationships that I've been able to build with the presidents of our HBCUs across Virginia, public and private, because of the leadership that they show on a daily basis. And when we're talking about education and certainly the challenges facing our universities, there is a real problem where we see the Department of Justice and certainly the president attacking the public universities here in Virginia that value diversity, that value DEI, that recognize that when we have strong student bodies and diversity of thought and opinion on campuses, that we are stronger as a Commonwealth, as a country. But we have seen attacks starting at VMI where politically motivated attacks, as I would argue, led to the dismissal of an incredibly successful superintendent, military veteran, retired as a general, came back to lead VMI where he had graduated from, had done incredible things on campus, was praised for his successes and ultimately was ushered out the door for political reasons. We saw similar attacks at UVA on Jim Ryan, who chose to celebrate and ensure diversity of backgrounds, diversity of race, diversity of opinions on his campus. And we saw the attacks on UVA. Now it continues with President Washington at George Mason, and we need a governor who is not only going to stand up against these attacks, but in fact, a governor who will work to change the structure, strengthen the structure, fortify the structure, so that we no longer will be able to see attacks on our university presidents, particularly as we have seen so far. Looking to the larger economy, certainly with everything coming out of Washington right now, there are real attacks on our very economy, whether it's the firing of federal workers through the DOGE process, whether it is in the residual impacts that we are seeing on our economies. We need a governor who is focused on both standing up for Virginia, but also endeavoring to bring investments to Virginia, and recognizing the value of our businesses, small, medium, and large, for driving our economy. And as governor, I will value all businesses endeavoring to bring investment here, and certainly as it relates to government contracting, as it relates to work with the state, ensuring that all businesses of all sizes have access not just to government contracts, but to the capital necessary to succeed is a priority for me. I know I hear frequently from business owners that they want to see greater work in technical training and in workforce development. And so as governor, in ensuring that we are connecting companies and workforce priorities with what the training that we have going on, be it in our public schools and our CTE programs, but ensuring that students can graduate on, go into apprenticeship programs, go into technical training, or be connected with opportunities in their own communities. Everywhere I travel in Virginia, issues of housing affordability are major priorities that leadership of communities, boards of supervisor members, town mayors, city mayors bring to me, because whether it is a constraint because of um, lack of inventory and a need to strengthen our supply, build more housing, or whether it's the very real circumstance that affordable housing at the end of its term of affordability sometimes gets folded out and not brought back into affordable housing. We are seeing real impact. Certainly, Virginia has seen in the last year, our rental rates have gone up 3 times. We're the third highest rent raiser in the entirety of the nation. And we know that in the past 4 years, it has gone up. The cost of buying a house has gone up 18%. The real impacts on families, on people who are coming to Virginia, it is significant. It's not just housing, it's healthcare, it's energy. It's why I released my first plans, which were my affordability plans, focused on housing, healthcare, energy. And frankly, at a time where we have a tax on our healthcare from the so-called big, beautiful bill, the circumstances even more dire. We know that hundreds of thousands of Virginians will lose access to Medicaid. We also know that hospitals across Virginia, particularly our rural hospitals, will close, and our safety net hospitals will face significant impacts. We're looking at a cost of $26 billion to Virginia, and that is not a dollar amount that we can make up. It will impact all of us. And so as governor, I am focused on both how we can lower costs in healthcare, particularly in prescription drug pricing, but how, as governor, I can lead in partnership with other states and partnerships with other governors to ensure that we continue to provide access to affordable, quality healthcare across Virginia, despite the actions that we may be seeing at the federal level. As it relates overall to the issues of housing affordability, we also know that Virginia is one of the worst states in the country when it comes to evictions. Among the priorities that I hold is to ensure that we are lengthening that period of time where someone who may not be able to make rent, lengthening the period of time between when they might miss a rent payment and ultimately can be processed towards eviction. We know that the data is super, super clear that when given just a little bit more time or a second chance, that cutting off that pathway towards eviction can make a real meaningful impact in ensuring that people can have the long-term stability of stable housing. During, well before I ever ran for office in the first place, I was served on the Fair Housing Board here in Virginia. And so I recognize that there are many occurrences where there are violations of fair housing laws. And not only do we need to have a strong board that will take action, but we need an attorney general, and Jay Jones, who's also willing and able to use the letter of the law to make sure that we are defending those who might have faced discrimination in housing. And then ultimately kind of getting back to where we are today, which is the first day of early voting, being able to protect access to the ballot box, to our very rights as Americans to vote, is extraordinarily important, particularly as we're seeing oversteps and attacks on our First Amendment rights. We know in Virginia with 45 days of early voting that is significant access that matters. But we also know that while we make it much easier and straightforward for people to cast their ballot, we also are among the very worst in the nation when it comes to restoring the rights of those who may have lost them throughout the criminal justice process. Currently, our system leaves it up to one person, the governor, to restore the rights of someone who has previously committed a felony. And we have, in fact, a constitutional amendment moving through the process right now that would make that voter restoration of rights automatic. That is a bill that I support. It's taken the first of 3 steps, the first being passing the General Assembly. After this election, the General Assembly will vote again next year, and then it will go to the ballot for all of us in November of 2026. It's an incredibly important first step, and it will be one of 3 constitutional amendments that we have on the ballot ultimately as they pass in November of 2026. The others will be essentially codifying what had been the Roe versus Wade standard in the Virginia Constitution, and the third is removing a ban on same-sex marriage that currently exists in the Virginia State Constitution. I'm really grateful for your time with me. My website is abigailspanberger.com. I have my affordability plans, my education plans, and my economic growth plans on my website. And I look forward to serving Virginia. I look forward to working hard on behalf of all Virginians. And I know that particularly at this moment where there is so much vitriol, there's so much negativity, there's so much division, and there is so much that we need to stand up and denounce and reject that is occurring on Capitol Hill or coming out of this White House. I look forward to being a strong governor for the Commonwealth of Virginia, putting us first and standing up for all Virginians. My background is one of service. I began my career as a federal agent. I worked narcotics and money laundering cases, and then from there went to CIA, where I was working counterterrorism. I served undercover my whole time with the agency. And the reality is we need to be fearless in this moment and forceful in all that we do to stand up for what is right, what is American, and what has strengthened us throughout time. So I look forward to serving all of you all, and I look forward to working with all of you all in the future. Again, thank you so much for inviting me to be here, and thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger. On behalf of the Virginia chapters of the Divine Nine, we appreciate you taking time out today to visit with us. And we hope it's not the last time that we hear from you as we lead up to Election Day. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Body, for everything that you heard. Just wanted to let you know that in the essence of equal opportunity, we are trying to schedule equal time with Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears. As soon as we have a date, you will receive some correspondence, and we'll have a forum very similar to this very soon. So don't go anywhere yet. We still have more work to do. And I want you to hear next from Lester Roberts. Let me tell you what he's going to talk about. The Divine Nine Fraternities of Virginia are issuing a call to action for all participants on this call. And also for anybody who missed this call, I'm sure there will be a recording. We'll get that out. We need everybody to participate. Please welcome Lester Roberts, a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Inc., Richmond SCLC, and the Richmond Crusade for Voters, as well as a civic engagement coordinator at the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. He's a busy man. Here he is, Robert Lester.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, all. Thank you to my Divine Nine fraternity brothers for providing me space to share 2 immediate calls to action. My first question is your congregation or place of worship committed to voting 100%? At the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy, we engage people of faith and goodwill to join with congregations all over the Commonwealth of Virginia to increase our collective power through voting. Here's how we do it. You and your congregation take a pledge to vote 100% as a body. The pledge is free. Unlike our ancestors who had to endure hardships to register and cast their votes. So we are asking you to pledge personally and collectively at your congregation to vote 100%. Now, what does this mean? In also in doing this pledge, your congregation and you being a part of it would develop a plan to make sure eligible members are registered to vote in your congregation. 2, distribute information about ways to vote through your congregation's news sources. 3, promote the sacred privilege of voting. We didn't get this right easily. It was a lot of hard work and toil, and you know the history of that. So we want to promote this sacred privilege. 4, learn about local candidates. Today was a great example that the Divine Nine Fraternities were able to present candidate Spanberger and her platform, but there are other candidates running for other offices in Virginia. So you need to be educated and clearly understand their position on issues. 5, participate in community-wide efforts to register voters and get people to the polls. Okay, it's not just enough to be registered. That's the first step in this process, is being registered. But the second step is to help and assist others to get to the polls. And you'll hear more about this later on as we move forward towards the election season on how we're going to try to provide rides and things like that as a fraternities to support people in the community. And 6, we ask at Virginia Interfaith Center, we ask that you engage people who may not be eligible to vote for one reason or another. You know, we have some people in Virginia who may have made a mistake in their life earlier on, and at this time they are not able to vote, but we want them to be part of this process as well. So when I encourage people around the community, if they say they can't vote, I say, well, you could come out and help us set up for a voter registration and things of that nature. And then we also try to help them to get their rights restored at the same time. As when I talked about this 100% voting plan or campaign, you see a picture there of a banner, this 100% we're voting on November the 4th. We provide all the congregations who partner with us to turn out the vote. We provide this 3-foot by 7-foot banner, which can be displayed outside of your congregation and or inside your congregation to encourage people in the community and or your membership to remember November 4th is election day. And there's a QR code there where if you're or your congregation is interested in doing this campaign, you can click on there and you will be able to get information on how to connect with this Virginia Interfaith Center. Next, we have our second call to action, and this one we would like for everyone to do right now if they have the capabilities. There are 2 QR codes on this card here. One on the left is for, I'm asking you now, if you have your phone, to scan that QR code on the left. That code will take you to where you are able to register to vote. You are able to check your current status. This is very, very important that you check your status, because we are having some people who are finding that their status is inactive. 3, you'll be able to find polling locations, and 4, also to request a vote by mail ballot. On the right-hand side is a QR code where folks can also access to apply for restoration of rights. So on that card, there's some very important information. And at the center, we provide these cards. We can do it electronically and or mail these cards that you can use in your communities or at your church. So I asked today that, and I thank the brothers for allowing me to share these 2 calls of action. I ask that you please adhere to them. This is I say it every year. This election is so important. We need everybody to vote. And again, I'm able to assist. My name is Robert Lester. I'm with the Virginia Interfaith Center, also Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And I thank you for your time. And I'll pass it back to Kim Greenwich.
Thank you so much, Robert. I can't emphasize any more how consequential this election is. Regardless of your political persuasion, we want everyone to vote. And the only way that that will happen is for everyone to pass the word, help those get to the polls, because we know that the power is at the ballot. So I want to say thank you on behalf of the Virginia chapters of the Divine Nine chapters of Virginia. Thank you for putting this together, and look forward to more correspondence when we have our next forum with the Lieutenant Governor, Winsome Earl Sears. You have 3 minutes back in your day. Have a great Friday and a great weekend.